And welcome to another Walking Dead Retro Review. I'm Justin.
I'm Jessi.
And we got a special guest with us. He's becoming kind of a regular here on the channel, and I love it. The one and only Appalachian American, a.k.a. Seth. Seth, say hello to the folks.
Hey, what's up?
That was such like a 90s, like, hey, what's up?
What's up, man?
Coming up next on Nicktoons. But
Nickelodeon.
That was beautiful. I'm so happy that we have an extra guest on here. Now, Seth, of course, you know, but we don't. So make sure we just don't spoil anything for old Jessi here, as Jessi is watching these episodes for the first time ever. So if you're new to the channel, that's basically the deal. We're going back through from episode 1 all the way up to current. And I've seen it 1,000 times. Seth's seen it, but Jessi is watching it all for the very first time. So I just try my darndest to not spoil it for her. But so without further ado, we are talking about season 4, episode 3. It's called Isolation. It was directed by Dan Sackham and written by Robert Kirkman. Oh man, so this one was actually written by Robert Kirkman. It originally aired October the 27th in 2013. And let's just, first off, Jessi, what did you think?
I knew Carol did it.
You knew it.
I knew it.
Was that just your and what made you think that Carol did it?
I don't know, the way she was acting, and I can't remember at what point I was like, oh, she did it for sure. But I think it was when Ty was telling her to keep an eye on Sasha. And she kind of like stopped for a second, and he was just like, if that's okay. And she's like, no, yeah, I'd be happy to do it, you know. She was just acting really weird.
She was acting really sus.
Yeah.
Like real sus.
I knew, but I even though I kind of like felt like it was her, I was really surprised.
It's still like
that it was actually her, because I don't get it.
It's kind of like when someone's cheating on you and you know they're cheating on you, but then when you find out, you're still kind of like shocked, like you were hoping it was wrong, kind of like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sad comparison for anyone.
Exactly what it was like, because I don't expect Carol to do that.
Oh, she plays sweet and innocent, but she is far from it.
So why did she do that? To keep the germs away, or what?
Right, yeah. No, she definitely didn't do it out of malice. She did it trying to ultimately, because that's what Rick was talking to her about when he's like, you'd do anything for this group, right? And she's like, yeah. He's like, anything to keep them safe. And she's just basically like, yeah. And that's when Rick realized, like, oh, she did it. Like, I love when they have those moments where they let Rick go back to being a cop. Like, this episode was one of those moments where, like, Rick was using his police, interrogation skills. And you'll see that a few times throughout the show where Rick will kind of go back into cop mode, assuming Rick lives very long.
Dang. My mind was blown, guys. Because, like, Ty would kill her if he knew.
Oh, yeah. He about killed Rick. He about killed Rick, and Rick didn't even do anything. I know. Rick's just like, man, calm down. Bow. Seth, how did it feel to revisit this episode for you?
Dude, it was wonderful. I texted you a couple things because I put it on. I couldn't watch it. I was at work, and I just listened to it, and so I was just sitting there chilling, and I was like, man, memories.
I'm telling you.
I forget the guy, the person that played Herschel.
Oh, Scott Wilson.
Scott, that's right. I really miss him.
Yep.
But he passed away, so there's no spoiler there.
Hey!
No, he passed away in
literally, like the person literally passed away. So like I miss him. I've seen him. He played in a lot of different things. Like he was in Bosch. He was in stuff like that.
So he was huge back in the day. Like way back in the day.
The actual man actually passed away.
Yeah, and if it helps to alleviate the thought of spoilers, he passed away very recently, and the show just ended, so it's not that's not saying how much longer he's on the show. But,
I got too upset because you're messing with my Herschel now. So
and I've told Jessi and Seth, wouldn't you agree? Like these are the golden days of The Walking Dead. Like she's really like at this point, I think season 3 through like season 6, maybe early 7 is like when Walking Dead was just at its absolute best.
Prime. Yeah. I would like to make a formal request. I'd like to be here for the mid-season retro review for this season.
Request is granted.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Absolutely. And Jessi, haven't I been telling you that mid-season finale is going to be a doozy?
Yeah.
Like, so much of a doozy.
Yeah.
And
We're going to take a break.
we have to take a break after that.
Like, we have to take a break because it's probably my favorite episode of the entire show, just because I've never had an episode of any show get me so like revved up and like yelling at the TV and like just, I've never been that into anything. And I just remember the way I felt afterwards was like the next day I was like, if I felt that way, this has got to be an incredible show. Like, to make me go to work still feeling that way the next day,
Yeah.
My dad was at one point like, man, chill out. I'm like, no, I refuse.
Don't tell me what to do my life.
But yeah, so I cannot wait for Jessi to get there. And don't get me wrong, even though we say like these are the prime years, there's still plenty of great Walking Dead beyond what we consider the prime. This is just the point in the show where I was just absolutely addicted, and just everything felt fresh. And as groups get bigger, I feel like it gets harder for them to kind of keep the focus that they have now.
Yeah, I would imagine, because I'm having a hard time now as it is.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, some stuff's going to happen that is going to completely mess you up.
It's going to be upsetting.
Matt's here, by the way, for those that listen to the Sunday streams. Matt's here hanging out. Let me cut on your mic for 1 second so you can say hello.
Hello, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, wait, I muted you. Okay.
Hello. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
You're coming through all clear and
crispy,
kind of sexy.
Crispy, sexy,
Meditative.
refreshing.
So, Matt, you can speculate, but we're talking about season 4, episode 3. Remember, you can't say anything that will spoil it for Jessi.
No. I wouldn't do it dirty like that.
What did you think, Jessi, of Rick going savage on Tyrese?
I think it's been a long time coming. Rick just needed to get some aggression out, and it just so happened to be on Ty. But he held his own. Ty is like 3 times his size.
But real talk here. The only reason Rick got the best of him is because Daryl was holding him back. Like, Tyrese straight up slugs Rick, knocks him off his feet, then hits him again, and like clearly dazes the heck out of him. And then Daryl grabs Tyrese. Rick gets a free cheap shot because Tyrese's hands are behind his back. Then Tyrese falls and Rick kicks him. So, hey, honestly, I'm not going to lie. Okay. I feel like in that moment, Tyrese would have stomped Rick. Like, Tyrese is a freaking raging bull, man. If he didn't have Daryl holding him back, I feel like he'd have took it to Rick.
I could take Tyrese on a nice dinner date. Because we're friends.
Matt,
I was about to say.
Do you remember that, Matt, at that point?
I'm looking at the recap of the episode here. I got to refresh my memory.
Seth, what did you think of that? Do you agree? Do you think that Tyrese would have probably taken it to Rick at that point?
I don't know, man. Rick can throw down.
Yeah, but Tyrese is like this 200-something pound, like muscular guy. Let's be real. Andrew Lincoln, I think I remember I looked it up. I think Andrew Lincoln weighed like 160 pounds this season. Like, I just don't think.
How tall is he?
And 5'10".
All right.
I don't think that an angry man who's upset over the death of the woman he loves, I just don't think he would lose to a much smaller guy who is not.
Yeah, he's like the
got
Black
that
Hulk.
rage. He didn't. Yeah. He didn't get. Rick didn't even get ramped up until he got hit, and then he got a breather because Daryl pulled Tyrese back. I stand firm in that. I have conviction in that.
I've seen some little dudes beat up on some big guys.
It happens.
Yeah, they're agile.
I'm not saying it couldn't happen. What I'm saying is when you got a 200+ pound muscular man that angry over the death of the woman he loves versus a man who's calm and centered.
Yeah, he's getting steamrolled.
I just think he would have steamrolled Rick. I mean, hell, he punched Rick that one time and put Rick off his feet. I mean, as soon as he hit him, Rick was on the ground. One shot. Rick was on the ground. Then Daryl grabbed Tyrese because actually Tyrese hit him a second time and he couldn't get up. If Daryl hadn't grabbed Rick, Tyrese would have sat there and kept freaking haymaker in him. I'm telling you, Rick would have lost that fight.
All right.
But it's officer friendly.
But also
It's officer friendly.
Also, to Rick's credit, they weren't squared up either. Like that, I'm trying to play devil's advocate here. Tyrese did catch Rick off guard with that punch, so Rick wasn't expecting it, So, I mean, to Rick's credit, but I'm just saying, in that moment, that unexpected shot put him down. He hit him again. He dazed him. If he'd have kept swinging, man, I don't think Rick would have got up. I'm just going to say.
I think Rick would have had it.
Listen, you wouldn't have said that a while back.
I know. I'm saying it now. He held his own against Shane. He's held his own against everything. So I'm team Rick.
Yeah, Rick does hold his own. I mean, Rick can throw down. That's not quite. And I will say, if you notice, and Seth, you might have noticed this, but as the show progresses, Rick gets better and better at fighting. If that makes any sense.
He doesn't lose as easy.
No, right? Yeah, I mean, he might take a few licks. I think Rick's biggest asset. It's not necessarily that he's the best fighter. He just keeps fighting.
Yeah,
we've seen it. We'll see a couple times people kind of get the best of him, but Rick just finds a way out.
Yeah.
Well, plus now he's kind of gone a little bit crazy at times, so I think that helps him.
Jessi, do you think that Shane had a big to do with Rick getting to become the savage he needs to be?
Yeah.
I do. I think that Shane, has had a big part in Rick being transforming Rick from officer friendly, always trying to do the right thing, to sometimes you just got to be savage. I mean, I think when your best friend tries to murder you, it really shows you.
Yeah, and also,
Justin's tried killing me many times, and we're still great friends.
And then Jessi said, "That's what I was going to say." Wait a minute, when have I tried to kill you, Jessi?
No. I was going to say
my murder attempts were well warranted.
The fact that he had to kill his best friend, who had gotten his wife pregnant, and he knows that his best friend was planning on killing him, that'll change a person.
That'll change a man.
So, yeah. It will.
It'll change a man into something unmanly. Something beastly.
No.
But no, I'll tell you, this episode has got one of my favorite quotes is, I love Herschel's little speech to Maggie and Rick as he's gonna he goes in the woods with Carl and he picks the elderberries and he's gonna go in and try to treat everybody, and he tells Maggie's like, "Dad, don't go in there, you're gonna get sick." And I love that speech of you take a drink of water, you risk your life.
Yep.
You take a breath, you risk your life. The only thing we get to choose is what we're willing to risk it for. I got goosebumps when I first time I saw that. I was like, God, that is awesome. My man Herschel spitting the truth.
Yep.
He was a wise feller.
Well, he's got a wonderful point too. I mean, it's just yes, in this world, everything will kill you. You go outside, a walker could bite you. You leave the prison, somebody might shoot you. Everything you do is risking your life.
He got bit in the prison.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so you're always risking your life. It's just what's worth risking it for. I love that. This was I loved Herschel up to this point, but that was the moment when I loved Herschel. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Thank goodness.
But
Jeffrey, I was gonna say, thank goodness Jeffrey DeMont or whatever the guy that plays Dale's name left the show willingly, because if not, Herschel, if they would have followed the comics, Herschel, he would have gotten better, but he would have been way more of a hard ass. Herschel in the comics was kind of a douche.
I like Herschel in the show.
Show Herschel's
I love him.
way better than comic Herschel, 100%.
Well, I was gonna say when Dr. S coughed blood on his face, why did he take the bandana off?
Yeah,
that didn't make any sense.
Yeah, he's throwing infected blood spittle at me. Let me take off the one thing keeping it out of my mouth and nose.
Yeah.
I guess at that point he was just
you must show the infection that you are not afraid of it. It's more scared of you than you are of it.
It was a dominant stance. Let me tell you something.
You have to manifest.
I don't want to say the word because the last time I did, we got shadow banned and we're still recovering from it. But Doesn't this
Yeah.
kind of show you?
Yes.
And keep in mind how far back this was. This was 2013 that this came out. How much like the C virus this reminds you of.
Yeah.
The seasickness.
I was thinking the exact same thing the whole entire time I was watching it.
Well,
I was like, wow, this kind of fits.
JP just compared it to the AIDS pandemic, not even calling it a hoax or anything, just saying like, hey, it's got some similarities as far as like when the widespread panic hit and yada, yada, yada. Boom, got flagged, got shadow banned. So we don't say that word here on the channel, but it reminds me of it. People are like wearing masks and they're like isolating. And I like when that.
Yeah, quarantining.
Yep. I hated it for that lady when she's like, "Really, I'm not that sick. It's just a sinus or something." You know, she's making it.
It's allergies.
Allergies.
Yeah, they're like, get in the cell.
Get in.
Goodbye.
I felt bad for
it
Tyrese too with Sasha in there.
Yeah.
A lot of emotions.
When Lizzie had to go in there and Carol got upset, it's just like I felt like she got upset because she knows that Lizzie's probably gonna die in there.
Could be. Do you think Lizzie's gonna die in there?
I don't know. I'm worried about Glenn.
I was gonna say your boy not looking so hot this episode. Like when they're having that small council meeting and he starts like it hits him. Like, have y'all had that? I've had that feeling of like everything's been fine all day. You sit down or something and you're talking or doing something and it just hits you like, oh, I don't feel good. Like I'm getting the sickness.
Yep.
The itis.
Yeah, that's the worst.
That's the way I was that day. That was the way it was when I had the stomach bug a few weeks back. Like I went into work feeling like I feel fine. I'm just tired. And then like as the morning progressed, like at some point I was just like, oh, I'm getting sick.
He was having hallucinations. He was seeing Jeebus.
No, I legit was seeing my dead grandma and apparently, according to my mom, having memory recollections of something I wouldn't have known past the age of 4. Oh yeah, I had a fever.
Why didn't you tell me this?
I thought I did. I had a fever of like 103. At one point, I was like talking and rambling, and Caitlin, my fiance, comes in there. And she's like, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "I was like, I'm helping Meemaw try to find her red broom. It's always next to the microwave, and she can never find it." So she told my mom that. My mom was like, "That's crazy because that's right, but he would have been like 3 or 4 at the time of the red broom."
You did tell me that. I remember now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Which is funny because not funny, but you know, I think about like all of them in there with that. And it's like the way I felt then trying to survive a zombie apocalypse, feeling that way. I'm just like, dude, I feel bad for these people, man. But what did you think about when Carol went out to try and fix that water pump? Did you think she was a goner?
I did. For sure.
So you thought like this is the point where Carol's going down.
Yeah, but also I was confused because why was she so concerned with it, you know?
You gotta
to
have
the point
the
where she
well,
yeah, but like
I mean,
she didn't have to risk her life like that.
She made a good point. She was talking about how that, you know, Rick said we could do that tomorrow, and she was like, "Well, we're not guaranteed tomorrow."
But I'm thirsty now.
I think she realized that Tyrese was there. Tyrese is gonna find out, and she might not make it to tomorrow.
Right. I like to think of it like that, and then also the fact of she's just trying to do things to keep her mind off of what she's done. Like she tries to act like when she told Rick she did it, that, you know, oh, I did what I had to do. But I think it's really bothering her and like kind of like just staying busy to keep your mind off of something that's really bothering you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went in to listen to it today or watch it today, and I ended up getting sucked in. And next thing I knew, I was like 3 or 4 episodes after past.
I do that every time, dude.
Yeah, because I was just getting sucked in. But it was when they left to go on the run. Was that in this episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get the
I didn't want to talk
antibiotics.
too much. All right, when they went out on it, and Tyrese came and was like, "Hey, Carol, can you check in and make sure Sasha's okay?" This, that, and third. I was like, I never understood why Carol, like, hit the water jug and, kind of like threw a fit right there
Yeah.
dramatically.
You're talking
Yeah,
about when he
yeah.
asked her to watch Sasha?
Yeah, like check in on her.
I know why she did it.
I know that.
think.
I know now, but like the first time I watched it, I didn't get it.
Oh, yeah.
The first time I didn't understand that Carol did it until it come out.
First time you're
And I
like,
think
why did you just waste so much water?
Yeah, I was like, oh, you're an idiot.
You're like,
And then,
then I realized-
Rick came out and was like, that was really stupid what you did or something. And I thought he meant knocking over the water.
I like how Rick was.
Yeah.
I like how Rick was elevated above her, kind of like how cats. They say cats get higher to show their superiority or whatever. It's like
No, I've never heard that.
you never heard. Why? That's why cats like high places, because like when you or another cat's down and they get up somewhere, that's how they show superiority. Like they look down on you. Yeah, look it up. Cat
Now I
facts.
know.
But no, so like I thought it was funny because Rick's like elevated, and then it's like she kicks it over or whatever. Then it's like that was a stupid thing you did, and then it
Yeah.
pans over and Rick's like up here looking down on her. And I'm like, man, Rick's like the wind. That dude is everywhere.
He's sneaky.
But so Jessi, how are you feeling about season 4 this far in? You're 3 episodes in. You're only 5 episodes away from the mid-season finale, which doing 2 a week will be here in like 2 weeks. So we'll be here. We'll be there very soon. How are you feeling about season 4 up to this point?
Well, I know we haven't been rating the episodes, but if we had, I wouldn't have rated anything under a 4. So I think I'm feeling confident.
That's
in
pretty
this.
good.
I'm-
Yeah, I've seen you
It's
give
keeping
like,
me entertained, and I still have so many questions. But at least now I know who burnt the bodies.
and Jessi.
But who's doing the rats?
We'll have to find. Who do you have any? Last time we talked, you thought it was the governor. Do you still think it's the governor?
I do, but I thought Bob was working for the governor. But I
What's the
still
rat?
think there's something weird with him.
What I will say is that I do remember that. I remember everything. I remember random stuff, I should say. I remember that Seth, one of his favorite songs on The Walking Dead is one of like you'll see like a flashback of Bob. I mean, that's not a big spoiler. You'll see how he kind of made his way to the prison or whatever, or like his kind of backstory. And when you do, there's a song that plays, and that's one of Seth's favorite songs from the entire show.
Yep.
I'll tell you, man, The Walking Dead, they don't play a lot of music, but they are pretty on point when they pick their. You're gonna see something here very soon that has to do with like the virus and everything. And there's a song that plays, and it's freaking awesome, and it fits so well, and it's an artist I've never heard of, and it's so good. Like they're very good in their music selection with the show.
I agree.
Like it's
Yeah.
it's good at
Yeah.
building the tension. It's good at reflecting the mood. But I do know the song that Seth likes. That's kind of Bob's theme song. Is actually I would say is definitely like my top 3 favorite songs from the show. So when we get there,
I just dropped a link in the chat, in the private chat for y'all if y'all want to check it out afterwards.
yeah,
Okay.
it's really good. Absolutely.
It's cool.
And so I'm trying to think of what all we get on this episode. I feel bad. I tell you what made me feel the worst the whole episode was after Rick beats the crap out of Tyrese, was him on the ground crying. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
wasn't crying, he's got his butt whooped. It's just the anger is kind of washed over. And he's finally crying. Because imagine finding somebody you love dead and burnt up, like in
I
a
know.
blood trail leading to the body. Like someone did
I would
murdered
be a little
him.
upset.
Matt's like,
A little.
Just a little bit.
I'd be a little off put.
This is displeasing.
It would just be like a buzzkill.
Man,
Yeah.
I was going to go have a beer. Now I don't even feel like it.
Now I'm gonna be sad while I'm drinking that beer.
Now I've got the sads. But I mean, like, that part, I just remember watching that today and being like, man, I feel so bad for Tyrese. Tyrese is a good dude. Like, he's just one of
He
those
means
people.
well,
Like,
for
he's a
sure.
good dude. And honestly, he's too good for this world, if that makes any sense. Like, this world is
A
cruel.
lot of these
and-
We
people
don't
are.
deserve him.
That's the thing about Carol you're seeing is Carol and Rick both are, that's the way, I think that's kind of the theme through the show, is that some people adapt, some people don't. Like Rick, Carol, Shane, they adapted to this new world. They became what they had to be, and that's what makes humans the strongest, is that we, what did Darwin say? Something about it's not the strongest that survives, it's the, the ones that are most adaptable to change,
to their environment.
You're right. There you go. It's late. I can't think of it, but and that's kind of Rick, Carol, Shane.
We do have some small herniations from tonight's endeavor.
Coral. And it's like, I think that's the thing with Tyrese, is he's just not adjusting well to the new world. Like when he was talking about the other episode about how it's one thing to kill them when you're out there and they're coming at you, but he didn't even like just killing them through the fence. It made him uncomfortable. Yeah. So Tyrese is a good dude, man. I like Tyrese, and he's on the show The Orville, which if you have never watched, you should totally watch.
Did they ever make a second season?
Oh yeah, it's like 2 or 3, and then new ones coming out sometime. Oh yeah, it's a comedy series with Seth MacFarlane, and it's basically a tribute / spoof of Star Trek, which I was not a Star Trek person. And I still love the show. So if that tells you anything, like, you don't have to love Star Trek to love the show. Jessi, you should watch it and try to find Tyrese, because he's an alien in the show. So you might not know it's him until I tell you who it is. But anyways.
That's going to be a tough one.
I really like Tyrese. I really like the actor that plays Tyrese. I think he's awesome. And Tyrese is way different in the show than he is in the comic. In the comic, Tyrese was... he was a beast. I mean, like, this Tyrese is a beast, but he's a big softy. In the comics, like, he was a sensible guy, but, like, he still was a beast. He was way. And actually, if I remember correctly, Seth, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the comics, it was not Rick that beat Tyrese about half to death. It was Tyrese that about beat Rick to death at one point. So they switched it in the show. But I really like show Tyrese. He was actually, during this period, he was definitely in like my top 5. I like Tyrese because I feel like everybody just goes for the bad A's, the Bamps, and it's like, I like the relatable characters, because you're going to have people that would not adapt to that new world.
I thought that he had completely given up on life when they were in the car and they got taken over by all those zombies. And he just sat there while the other ones ran. I was like, is he really just going to give up right now?
I still don't know how he survived that.
Me either.
Swinging them hammers.
I think he had so much rage that he just like took it out on the walkers, and that was what got him through.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like, he was swarmed, and then he just, like, it's funny. He's like a machine though. He's like, yeah, just like one after the other, just yeah. And I remember, though, watching the show and at first thinking he's a goner, and I was like, man, that's a crappy way to go out. Like, we didn't even get to resolve his issues, which honestly is more realistic. I mean, people just die sometimes. But as soon as they left him, I was like, he's not dead. There's no way he's dead. Maybe he got bit and he's going to die, but there's no way he's dead. And then he come walking through the woods all tired from swinging that hammer.
Covered in zombie guts.
Yep, which should make the zombies not want to mess with him.
I was going to say, which should help him, so.
Seth, back me up. I've told Jessi, zombie logic in this show is never consistent.
No.
1 minute just getting a little bit here on your hand could get you infected. The next minute, your whole face is covered in zombie gut, blood, and it's just like, I'm good. And Jessi,
in your eyes, in your mouth,
and all your mucus membranes.
And Jessi, you haven't even asked how we're doing after the show ended.
I was scared to ask.
Not good.
How are you doing?
I
didn't think so. I didn't want to bring it up
right now, just to cope with it.
Hey, it's been
it's traumatizing.
Takes a lot out of you.
Yep. We did a lot. Actually, that live stream we did was one of our most viewed videos in a long while. That thing had several thousand views.
I'm sure it was. I wish I could watch it.
I think it's because.
How do you think Vikram's doing? Do you think you ever found that stream?
A lot of Brazilians thought, I guess, that we were streaming the episode live, like just playing the episode for people, and we weren't. But like, I don't know. It was weird, but it was a good time. But let me just.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. What'd you say?
I was just bringing up numbers from the stream the other night.
What did you see?
I see 5.8K for the after stream and 2.9K for the pre-show.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah, it had some good numbers.
Some big numbers.
It was.
Y'all are famous.
No.
There was almost 300 people at one time in the chat, and we held them
Salary that
for
night.
a little bit.
Well, and the thing was too, it's like they are big numbers, but again, I just can't. I swear we got shadow banned. I mean, even when it was still just JP and I, like we were still getting anywhere from like 10 to 40,000 views of a podcast, and then we mentioned the C word one time, get a flag, and all of a sudden, oh boy, we're lucky to get 1,000. So it was good to see thousands again. Felt like the old days. But so where do you think we're going, Jessi? What do you think's going to happen with Glenn? What do you think's going to happen with Lizzie? What do you think is going to happen with Tyrese? I mean, like, what do you see coming? You've still got a very exciting season ahead of you. Season 4 is awesome. Like, I love
4 was
season
a solid.
4.
Yeah, 4 was very solid.
I think that we're gonna think Glenn's about to die, and then they show up with the antibiotics like in the nick of time, and I think that maybe Tyrese got bit, and maybe they're gonna have to amputate something, or he might die. Who else? Sasha. I think Sasha's gonna die.
You think Sasha's going to die?
Yeah, I don't think Lizzie's gonna die. She didn't look that sick.
There is now that you are at the point where we can watch one of the bad lip readings, there's another bad lip reading. And remember when Sasha comes out and it's Herschel, and who's with Herschel? Is Herschel and is it Carl? Who's with Herschel? But she comes out and she starts hacking and coughing or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's in this episode. She comes out and she's like hanging against the wall, and then she is coughing, and she kind of tells him to hold on a second. But in the bad lip reading, it's hilarious because she's like, and then she's like, who's ready to get freaky? And then it shows Herschel, and he's like, God, I love this season, man. This was the point, like, going back in time, this was the point where, like, every Sunday we had dinner at Mom and Dad's house, and at 9:00, my dad is very big on, when we're watching TV, STFUP, like, keep your mouth. So just like the whole house is quiet and we're watching the episodes, and then we're like, oh man, that's the thing about this show. It's not just a show. It's like memories tied to it. On one hand,
What is the P?
That I was wondering that too.
Hold on. It's
Please?
like STFU. Okay, STFU. Please, yeah. Like, hey, shut the.
Okay.
Hold on, wait a minute. Shut the. Please. But I just remember, man,
like,
that's when the whole world was into The Walking Dead. Like, this was the point where it was like it was still like the biggest show on cable television. It's like, on one hand, I wish you could go back and have watched it with us, but I'm kind of glad you didn't, because if you didn't, we wouldn't have the Retro Review podcast, which I think is really cool, having people that have seen it talking to someone that has never seen it and trying not to spoil it.
Are y'all going to filter in fear to these retro reviews?
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I don't hate Fear the Walking Dead has got. So, Jessi, there's a spinoff show called Fear the Walking Dead. It's in the same universe.
Does that start?
What, as far as in conjunction with The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
4 or 5. Let me Google real quick. When did Fear the Walking Dead start? But it's a spinoff show, Jessi, and it started in 2015, August of 2015. So that would be like season 6.
After 6.
Yeah. But so, well, no, because no, it'd have been like season 5 of The Walking Dead. And I say that, I don't want to say why, but there's a spoiler I could say that I remember when that happened. And I remember being at the beach that year and us like talking about it. Remember the big cliffhanger that pissed a lot of people off?
Yeah.
And us talking about that. And I remember what year that was. That was the summer of 2016.
That was between 6 and 7.
So it would have been between 5 and 6.
The cliffhanger.
No, what
you're
I'm
talking
saying
about-
is it said that Fear debuted in August of 2015. It was the summer of 2016 that we were talking about. I wonder, like,
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
okay.
So it had to be between like 5 and 6.
gotcha.
But anyways, it's a spinoff show that happens in the same universe. It's just on the West Coast, and it's got a whole new cast of characters.
Technically, like if you're wanting to watch it like Star Wars, where you watch like you end up watching like imagine The Walking Dead is at like 4, 5, and 6, and then Fear the Walking Dead is kind of like the beginning because when you start The Walking Dead, Rick is in a coma.
That's true. That is true.
And you don't so what you're seeing in Fear, the beginning of season, well, the whole season 1 is supposed to take place during the time frame that Rick is in a coma.
You're exactly
The
right.
world breaking, going
Yeah.
crazy.
Yep.
And so that's season 1 of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Jessi, what would be cool about it is you kind of get to see everybody transition from normal life into the zombie apocalypse. Whereas in The Walking Dead, you see normal life, boom, Rick wakes up and the world's over. So you kind of get to see what transpired in the world between the beginning of the outbreak, So
Except season 2 sucks. But
it's so bad that we reviewed season 1 and we got halfway through season 2, and then like the halfway mark, me, Matt, and JP were just like, I really don't feel like reviewing
don't want
it.
to do this anymore.
I don't even want it. It's so
funny.
uninteresting. But then season 3 came out, and I say season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead is on par with some of the best Walking Dead seasons ever. So it's almost worth watching just to get to season 3.
4A just knocks the ball out of the park.
Phenomenal.
And it was great. And then season 4B is like
Horrible. Oh no, we
Okay.
suck again. But no, as far as this episode, make sure, because I like to try to make sure we cover as much as we possibly can. How'd you feel when Maggie was upset and telling Beth about Glenn being sick, Jessi? Did you feel for her?
Yeah, I did.
And then Beth's like, we all got a job to do.
Yeah. And Beth is starting to break down a little bit, which is not like her.
She just kind of, since she had her little suicide, thing, she's just gotten a little bit, I think that honestly, we're talking about people adjusting to the apocalypse. That's how Beth adjusts. She just
Yeah.
doesn't get attached and just realizes hey, everybody's going to die tomorrow or the next day. It's no point of getting super invested in anyone really. And what about Herschel? I love, that's a funny scene too on the bad lip reading. So in the show when Herschel's going to go out into the woods and Carl's trying to stop him.
Yeah.
At some point it involves later, Tater, and he leaves. But what about I was telling, actually, my brother-in-law was over here when I was watching the episode, and I was telling him, I was like, that's so stupid, because the zombie's coming at them with the bear trap on its leg, and Carl goes to kill it, which he should. It's a walker. It's going to kill people indiscriminately, And Herschel's like, you don't need to kill it. And you don't need to. And I know that the whole thing was Carl was getting cold and Herschel and Rick are trying to bring back his humanity, but this is a zombie. This is because you didn't kill that zombie, cause and effect, it probably wandered off and ate somebody. It's one thing to find a person in the woods, point a gun at him and be like, you don't need to kill him. It's another thing when it's this mindless zombie that's going to eat somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What about that tree walker that had grown into the tree and had the moss? That was pretty dope.
That was really cool. I like that.
That caught my attention because I was thinking about the practical effects and everything that was used and how good the walkers looked back then.
Oh yeah, I mean, the show, I will give them credit, man. They do a good job of every season. I feel like they try to come up with that one standout walker. Something about it just stands out.
You know what's bugged me about shows like Walking Dead? Who's doing their laundry?
Well, in season 1, they actually had all the women doing the laundry. Remember that?
Yeah.
Of course.
And she was talking about how that she missed her Maytag. Carol.
And Andrea missed something else.
Hey.
But henceforth, like, who's doing all the upkeep for chores and stuff?
Who's cutting the grass at the prison?
I know, yeah. It's a very well kept lawn.
The goats.
You don't remember what I'm talking
Probably-
about, Jessi? I saw you make a face. Remember Andrew? They were like, I miss my whatever. And Andrea's like, I miss my vibrator.
Oh no, I don't remember that. Andrea, who's that? I thought she died.
She did. She's unimportant at this point in the show.
She's
Yeah.
I will say, Jessi, because you won't ever see this, sadly, but when they did the final episode of The Walking Dead, every commercial break, the first commercial was a person who had previously died on the show, had their own commercial, and it was for like an actual business, but they were playing themselves as a zombie. So guess I won't say the first two. So Milton came back. Remember Milton?
Yeah.
Milton was a zombie and he was in a commercial, which is dope because you got to think that was season 3 that he died. We just finished in season 11. It's been years since
That's
we've seen
crazy.
him. And then Andrea had 2 commercials where she was a zombie. And
Was she annoying as a zombie? in a
no,
commercial?
actually not. They were good commercials. That's the sad thing is I think that, what is her name in real life? It's Laura.
Laura Holden.
Laurie Holden. I think she's a good actress. I never had a problem with her acting. I had a problem with the way they wrote her character.
Just her characters, because we're going on a tangent.
Go on a tangent. We got time.
Fantastic Four. She breaks up with the Thing because of the fact that he's mutated. She doesn't want to be like, hey,
How
I know you've gone through a
superficial.
serious thing. I love you. Let's fix this. She's like, I can't look at you. I'm out. Peace.
Seth, all right, you know what? I don't want to get vulgar. Let's get a little vulgar here. The Thing turned into entire rock, right? His whole body was
Hey,
made
man.
out of rock.
So
the-
he's rock hard 24/7.
The first time he whipped that thing out and was like, let's do it, she was like, there is no way you're putting that rocky thing inside of me.
that stalactite in my
It would
stalagmite.
never work unless they were in an open relationship. It would never
That's-
work.
But still, nonetheless, like, you still don't just dump somebody because you can't stand to look at them. Especially
That's
when you're
why
at
all
that-
my girlfriends broke up with me.
Yeah.
when you're at that point in a relationship where you guys are like engaged and stuff, you're supposed to love people. You can't just walk
Love is
away.
very much
You know what I mean?
conditional.
Whatever. Y'all in wrong relationships in.
I agree. I know what you're saying, Seth. If she could have let him down a little easier. She didn't have to be so hard.
No,
about
she
it.
should have sat there and waited and like made sure that was something that couldn't be fixed.
Seth, she had needs too, of which
Yes,
the Thing
we're
could
not
not
being met,
fulfill
yeah.
with
Well,
his
you know
thing.
what?
Anyways, I get what you're saying though. Andrea, Laurie Holden sometimes, has had. Now, granted, she was awesome in Silent Hill. She played that cop, and she was pretty bad A in that.
Well, whatever. She also got her comeuppance in The Boys, and it was a very fitting outro for her.
It was. Anyways,
I was
Jessie's
so
over there
happy.
like, I have no clue what they're
the hell
talking
is
about.
that
What's a Silent Hill?
No, I love
The
that
hills are
movie,
alive
and I'm
with
looking
music.
it up.
The
We're
first,
nerding out.
the first Silent Hill was great. I love that movie. They made some changes from the games because
That is her.
yeah. She was,
I'm
she
sorry.
was annoying because she kept trying to arrest her, but at the end of the day, she was being a cop. She thought this woman was abusing a child. So she was like doing her job of like, hey, I need to investigate. I liked her in that movie, and she went out like a bamf in that movie. But, so first Silent Hill, awesome. Second Silent Hill, I swear on my life, I fell asleep within the first 30 minutes in the movie theater. But anyways,
What?
but no, Andrea was just written terribly. She really was. The character, and I don't think she was happy with the way they wrote the character. She made all the dumbest decisions. But anyways, yeah, she was in some commercials. Sorry for folks who just really want to hear about this episode, but you're Walking Dead fans, and we're talking about The Walking Dead, so it's got to work, right?
Yeah, duh. I'm
But
here for it.
I'm about it. But yeah, I'm trying to make sure we've got everything just about covered. What about what about the voice they heard on the radio, Jessi? Did you hear what the voice said?
I had the subtitles on, so yes.
What did it say?
I can't remember.
Well, then you need to pay more attention to your subtitles.
What did it say? Something about being saved and
Close, yeah. It said
I don't know.
It said sanctuary. Those who arrive survive.
They survived. Yep.
What do you think?
I had to rewind it.
If it rhymes, I
had
don't
to
trust
rewind
it.
a couple times.
If it's a zombie apocalypse and somebody's out here trying to write rhymes,
No,
I don't
yeah.
want no part
No,
of
dog,
it.
I'm good.
why not? Priorities, Justin.
I know they should be way more prioritized than writing bars.
Nope.
But yeah, so a strange voice on the radio. Do you think that's going to come into play later, or do you think it was just a random occurrence?
I definitely think it's going to come into play later. Duh.
Well, spoiler alert, it don't. We never find out who said that, and it never gets mentioned again.
What if it's the governor trying to get them to come to where he is and it's a trap?
I tried to attack you guys. It did not work out very well, so now I want you to come to me.
Is the governor ever going to show up again? I just feel like we're forgetting about him.
I mean, he might never come back. It might just be a lost plot point.
Come on.
Maybe
Don't do that.
maybe the actor quit and they just wrote him off.
Yep.
He just gave up.
Yep. Oh man, it was so cool on the last episode of The Walking Dead because they had like flashbacks to all the characters and like some of this season, and it was so awesome.
That
And we
is cool.
saw actors from the shows past. You saw like Shane. You saw like Glenn. You saw the governor. So cool, man.
I can't wait.
I think it was funny because Matt and Seth is a hard critic. Seth is a hard person to
Can't please
impress
the man.
with anything. Like we literally don't agree on anything but The Walking Dead when it comes to entertainment. But me, Seth, and Matt, we got on the podcast and we all three were like, I think for where the show went, they gave it a fitting end. I thought it was a good finale. They wrapped it up nice. I was happy with it. And like, I'd say 2/3 of our listeners were like, this sucked.
They were very displeased.
It had to feel
Yeah.
weird for Seth. Seth's usually the one used to being like, this sucked. And somebody's trying to defend it. And this time it was like, wait a minute, I'm in the minority. But
Well, I trust your judgment, so I'm excited.
I
about
liked it. For where they ended up, I definitely think they made some poor writing decisions throughout the show. But with that said, for where they ended up, the way they wrapped it up, I was happy with it. Like,
All right.
The things that aggravate me is like the way vehicles sound. For instance, the Charger that they were riding in would not have sounded the way that it sounded in the show.
or Daryl's dirt bike keeps switching sounds
my
between like
gosh.
his motorcycle keeps switching between dirt bike. If you go back to season 2 and you watch the episode where they I think it's the first episode of season 2 where they pull up and the road's blocked and Daryl's like, I'm gonna go check it out. If you really listen, me and Cameron, one of my close friends, died laughing at this because you can hear him like, and then he just rolls by the screen, like off to the side. He just rolls by real slow.
There's no like spoiler. He gets a new motorcycle in season 6, and
That is a spoiler. Now she knows Daryl lives through season 6.
Well, I already knew he was
Sorry.
going to live because people would ride.
Sorry,
Sure.
but anyway, he gets an inline 4, and those bikes have a particular sound. They made it sound like a Harley.
Mm-hmm.
I was so angry, I almost threw my remote at the TV.
It's amazing
You guys-
how many sounds are added post
Right.
filming. Like you think like when they're walking down a hallway and you hear footsteps that's the actor's footsteps, and they're not. They're added in post production. You know.
Well, it's like Herschel when the cells close anytime in the jail. That's added in. It's added in.
Oh yeah.
That's not. They're not just recording that sound as they're closing the door on the time. I mean, they probably don't make that much noise.
If I didn't do radio and what I do for a living, I would love to be. What do they call that? Like the art of making sounds that get added into movies.
The art of making love.
Sound expert? I don't know.
I follow a girl on TikTok who does that.
Sexpert?
According to Matt.
A sexologist.
That's a real thing, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
I teach a class at the college.
I think it'd be hilarious if like you were married to like a sex expert and they were terrible in bed. Like your whole career's a lie.
This is an intro course. It's fundamentals.
But so let's rate the episode as we wrap up here. We hold our hands to where we can't see them and we pull them up with the rating. 3, 2, 1, throw them up. Okay, Seth gave it a 3. I gave it a 4. Jessi gave it a 5. Okay. Seth, I felt like a 3 is a little low, man. It was a pretty good episode.
It's a passing grade.
It was. I kind of wanted to do a 3.5, but I didn't know how to like.
You stick your thumb out. So like you would do 3 and stick your thumb out.
Okay. That'd be 4, but whatever.
No, because you have stick your thumb out. You don't stick it all the way out. You take it and you do that.
Slightly caddy it.
Look, JP and I came up with this a long time ago. 3.5. It hurts my hand to do that. I'm getting old. The arthritis is setting in.
Get some Bengay.
But
I don't give it a 3.5 for bad reasons. I give it 3.5 because I know that there's a lot better.
that's true. That's true.
Okay, if
And I mean, it's really
having something to
it's
compare
really not
to.
bad.
Right. Yeah. You. It's setting up for some really good stuff.
Right.
And next episode's pretty good too. Some changes are coming. Let's just say that.
I just like when they get knocked in the face, like there's no bruising or swelling or nothing.
Oh yeah. Like Tyrese's face was pretty messed up.
Yeah.
I felt bad when Rick goes to apologize to him. It's like, I'm sorry I did that to you. Tyrese is I like Tyrese though. I felt bad for Rick then because then Tyrese is like, I'm starting to feel like murder's okay here. It's like, where did you gather that from? Because he's like, I don't sense the urgency, and it's like, well, I mean, it's not how investigations work, man. I'm just going to run in and start like putting people against a wall. But then again, I mean, I'm sure you don't think straight when the love of your life gets burned alive. Well, I think she was killed, didn't burn, but still, you know.
Man,
what I
I'm real bummed out about this.
mean? I'm unhappy.
Hopefully she was killed and then burned, not burned alive.
Mm-hmm. But we will see you on Monday as we cover episode 4. Seth, feel free to jump into any retro reviews that you would like to be a part of. Always a pleasure having you on the podcast. At this point, I don't even really consider you a guest. I just consider you a part of the Podcasting Dead. So,
thank you.
And
He's
Matt,
a nice acquaintance.
Matt, who is the only Podcasting Dead member that actually has to pay for his Patreon.
I know. What the H?
Don't forget, you can go support us on Patreon, even though I know we don't post a lot of Patreon casts, but at the end of the day, the point of Patreon is just to help support the channel. I just bought a new mic that should be arriving Saturday that will hopefully make me sound a little better. We're getting Jessi's got a new setup she's about to start using that's going to make her sound a lot better. And it just helps to support the channel. You can also go to moviepalette.com. If you buy any artwork from there, use the promo code podcast15 and get 15% off. It helps the channel, and it helps your man cave or she shed look way radder. So,
the she shed's coming together nicely at the new house. I finally got that box off the floor.
But we will see you on Monday. I'm Justin.
And
She's
you are?
muted.
There's so many. It's normally just 2 of us. So I'm Justin.
And you?
You're muted.
She's muted.
Jessi.
But
My name's Jessi.
You're muted, Jessi.
I'm Jessi, and I'm having a great time.
we can't hear.
We can't hear you.
She's Jessi.
She's Jessi. Come on, Jessi. Get back on the podcast. You can do
Hit
it.
the mute button.
Do it.
Oh, this is the longest outro ever.
She's broccoli dokily.
I don't know what's happening to you, Jessi, but Jessi sends her love.
Hey, you guys should go check out the link down below. Go to the Rumble. Go to Patreon. Go to
Grindr.
Check out their Instagrams. Do all that stuff.
And Jessi says, what's that? She's saying that Justin is
the greatest?
best
Man,
ever.
I agree.
Like, oh my gosh.
is
Jessi,
pretty cool.
stop. Stop. I'm
flattering.
blushing. He is... dang, its camera's inverted. That guy there is...
Matadubs to the side.
I'm not pointing at you.
Well, you're pointing at me physically.
You are kind of pointing at him.
I am pointing directly at him, but on screen I am pointing to...
Oh.
You're nobody. Don't
Hey,
you
I'm-
answer.
I'm Seth.
That's
If I'm ever
Seth.
the men's room.
Check him out, the men's room.
Every Friday
And
night. 9
Matadubs at the
p.m.
side.
Matty
Part-time
Dubs at
and-
the side. It was fun having 4 people on here. It was a nice change of pace.
I agree, Justin. I'm Jessi. You're the greatest.
I know, Jessi. I am the greatest.
I love you, Justin.
I know. I love you too. We go way back. But we'll see you on Monday. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Peace.
Later.
Jessi is throwing up peace signs. Jessi,
It's
I
cute.
know I'm
I love you
awesome.
guys.
Stop.
You're
I
the
know.
greatest.
Stop. I'm so embarrassed.